This is the ERP Advisor.
Today's episode, how the right technology platform can help your business scale.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, How the Right Technology Platform Can Help Your Business Scale. Shawn Windle is our speaker for today. Shawn is the founder and managing principal of ERP Advisors Group based in Denver, Colorado. Shawn has almost 30 years of experience in the enterprise software industry, helping hundreds of clients across many industries with selecting and implementing a wide variety of enterprise solutions. His podcast, The ERP Advisor, has dozens of episodes with tens of thousands of downloads and is featured on prominent podcast platforms such as Apple and Spotify. On today's call, Shawn will uncover major factors a business should consider and why a vendor's platform strategy is crucial for setting their business up for success. Welcome, Shawn. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. It's always a pleasure. Good to see you in the office. Yeah. Everything looks great.
Yes, everything's great. We're continuing with some construction. For anybody who doesn't know, we are expanding. So that's been super exciting. We can hear it a little bit, but not too much. But by the time that's done, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see the finished space. It's going to be great.
Yeah, wonderful. And Shawn, today we kind of have a topic that you and I have not discussed ever. And now that the market's evolving and there's been some changes, I think this is going to be really important and really relevant to a lot of people who may not understand just how much technology has changed and just how much that change is going to impact their businesses.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Wonderful. So I think we're going to hop right in. We should have a good number of people on the call. So if you have any questions, please let us know. We're here to help. So Shawn, just to set the what do we mean when we say ERP platform?
It's a good question. There's sort of like the technology definition that I'm going to just kind of put aside, right? And we're just going to talk, Rebecca. We're just going to talk like it is.
Perfect.
Basically, people in the industry, when we talk about like ERP, right? We're talking about enterprise resource planning, not a sound that babies make. Burp, when they burp. Not really. We got to be a little more technical than that, okay, Rebecca?
Yeah, I don't know that's I've ever heard a baby make that sound, but
yeah, exactly. Anyway, so we're talking about enterprise resource planning. We're talking about the kind of software that organizations use to basically run their accounting, their operations. It may even include customer relationship management. It might have manufacturing. It might have projects, right? Like the software is really all encompassing when we say ERP. And then we look at the word platform, and platform really means the basis for an organization. So when we say ERP platform, we're really talking about the software that runs the whole business. I'll just say business with quotes around it. It could be for a nonprofit, it could be for a government agency, but we're really talking about the thing that stays under and sort of fits underneath the organization, metaphorically, to run it. So it's super important is what this comes down to, because we're really talking about like a platform for the whole organization to run like their entire applications. And I'm just going to look up the word platform, actually. Wow, there's a lot of definitions on it.
Right.
But it ultimately, if you think about, like, there's actually a definition that says a standard for the hardware of a computer system determining what kinds of software it can run. It's kind of that idea that we're really looking at computers and software that is, again, the basis for running your whole business on. So there's lots of things that includes. We're going to get into those today here for sure. But that's the important part, is that, and this is why I think we're really covering this topic too, Rebecca. You probably have a thought on this as well. I'd love to hear it. That this is what people search for. This is what people want. They're like, I need a new ERP platform, or what do I do with my current ERP platform? Or, hey, ChatGPT, which ERP platform should I go buy? Well, we're talking about a lot of stuff, right? Like all the way from the data layer of the ERP and how it connects with other things, and integrations, and like the infrastructure, for the system, for the whole ERP itself. But really, we're just talking about the thing that runs the business from a software
Right.
perspective. Does that make sense? What do you think? What's your thoughts, Rebecca?
Yeah, I definitely think that makes sense. And I think what I was going to ask, which wasn't an original question, was really where data plays into that. Because I think, yeah, the connectivity, but data is becoming more important than ever. And we're going to talk about that a little later in the call.
Mhm.
But I think so many people are making that shift and making that change because of how important data is becoming and because of how technology is evolving. They're not going to be able to take advantage of a lot of the things that are happening. And a big part of that is if their platform's outdated, if they can't connect, if their integrations aren't there, it's just going to make things 10 times harder and they're going to get left behind. So I think that's really where the mindset is they don't want to keep going down that path. And that's why the mood is shifted.
Mhm.
And I think that leads us into our next question, Shawn, which we can both kind of go back and forth and talk about is why has the market changed its strategy from a single solution to more of a platform play? And
Mm.
how is the cloud factored into that?
Mhm. Yeah, this is good. You have to go back to the 60s, even the 70s, 1970s, the 80s for sure, absolutely. In the 90s, and then things started to shift after the turn of the century, when the dinosaurs no longer walked on the planet. It wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it. um, that the ERP platform really used to be, like you said, a single play, basically. Like you'd have a single application, and that served not just as the platform. And if you, I'm really into like the derivation of words these days. And the derivation of platform comes, it's a French word, plateforme. I'm sure people could pronounce it better. Ground plan, literally flat shape. So it's really the ground, right? So you had SAP that ran the whole business, and it was the platform, right? Or you had Oracle, or you had PeopleSoft, JD Edwards. Some of the Sage products. There's a lot of products are actually around back then that are still around now. But there was just one product, and that was sort of that was great, right? Like it solved the business process automation situations, problems that we are trying to solve then. It also kind of gave like one place to put everything, like all your business data, to your point about the importance of data. So it was kind of more simple. I mean, these projects were still, hellaciously difficult,
Right.
and complex, and we'll talk more about that later on why. But it was just an app, easy. Well, then, we as a species, humans, we kind of make things a little more and more complex. Well, then, there was customer relationship management software that came out, from, we have, of course, have Salesforce today, but there was an organization called Siebel, Siebel Systems. One of our guys on our team, Ryan, worked on implementing Siebel back in the day. So now you have another software platform in your business, and you have, let's say, Oracle or SAP
Mm,
or Microsoft. Well, that was even before Microsoft's time. And then
right.
you had payroll software that was very prevalent, like ADP. So maybe you had three different software platforms. That's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
whole lot, right? Well, it's only gotten more complex since then. And you might have a platform for one of your agentic bots, literally, now. I mean, that might be a
Yeah.
little too far for this call, but we're moving towards this very specialized world, right? And that's ultimately what this question comes back to is there's going to be more multiple applications. There just are.
Right.
Every single one of our clients, when we go in, when our team is in there, they're seeing that every client has lots of different enterprise software platforms. Now, there's
Right.
usually one or two that are the major ones, but there's tons of other things. We have some clients that are, not that complex, and they're running like 10 to 15 to 20 apps. And so you don't really have a platform at that point, right? And
Right.
that's where kind of the cloud sort of comes in, because when you're like on premise and you have that single platform and it runs on your servers and the end, right? That's that world. But it's really the processes and what businesses, organizations, nonprofits, what they're doing It's complex, right? Well, most of our clients, their organizations, our organization has gotten more complex, but the basics behind the business processes are still manufacturing things, we're distributing
Right.
things, we're offering human services for a nonprofit, or we're, running permitting and other services if we have a city solution that we're looking at. It's all the same. But
Right.
now with the technology, you can connect so much more with other applications, and really with the cloud kind of being like a cloud platform, if you will, right? So we move
Right.
off of the specific software solution being the platform to an architecture or a deployment model being the platform. And again, I'm not going to go super crazy
Right.
complex on that, although I want to. And you and I could do it, Rebecca, but we're
I
not.
know. Ugh.
But the bottom line is that we went from these like single solutions, maybe two or three, to some of our clients have like 50 apps, right? If
Right.
not more. Some of our engineering firms that we work with, they have a ton of specialized products that are specific to just certain areas that they work in, not just CAD, computer aided design, but they might have very specialized software. One of our clients used to, or an older client of ours, we worked with them maybe before COVID actually. They would make software for engineering firms that did not, it was software, it was engineering software for lighting firms, but they were like lighting engineering corporations, firms that would come in and build like these huge like light shows and stuff. Now they probably do drones and they model
Yeah.
all that stuff out, or we've had aircraft companies build software that they do all these crazy things. So you get these little applications that do these amazing things for your clients, for our clients.
Right.
And are they the part of the platform? Yes, no, kind of, sort of. But the bottom line is like, it's just gotten more complex. And
Right.
it's the software solutions that have gotten more complex. There's just more of them. What do you,
Right.
what's your thoughts?
Yeah, and I would say, at least from my own perspective and kind of like reading back, looking at people, I think it used to be like, oh, we're distributors, we're manufacturers. Businesses have gotten more complex. They're not just like the core, what needs to be there is there, but lots of them are, hey, like maybe we were manufacturers, but now we're going to get more into field services. We're going to go service whatever we have.
Yep.
Or now we're going to tack on some construction aspects because it just makes sense. And I think getting into those adjacent auxiliary services that they weren't before has really changed what people need from their ERPs. And even the internet, Shawn, like the e-commerce, you have to suddenly you're managing a whole new aspect of the business that you weren't managing before. Social media, you have to do that. There's some aspect of like CRM that maybe was not even a factor 20 years ago because now you have to have those capabilities in order to interact and track.
That's right. Now
Customers are more complex.
but the important thing is you're saying that, Rebecca, is as an organization, as a person like you who's listening to this, right? Rebecca, you probably won't ever have to do this because there's like a gazillion people in the firm that would be like, I got this. I can figure out ERP Advisor's platform. You'd be like, go for it, probably.
Yeah.
Um, good for you. But for the folks that are on this call and going to be listening to this podcast later, like especially if you've done some research and you start to know some of the things that we just went through, right? Maybe you've heard some things already that you're like, wow, I never thought about that. I hope that's the case. But chances are that all made sense to you. But to the CHRO, right? They've probably
Mm.
done some human capital management software, some payroll, some HR software in the past, right? Or the VP of operations, COOs, or senior directors of projects, whatever the operations side of your business is, and then the salespeople too. They think, well, they usually just think Salesforce, right? So, and if you want a platform that is across all the business instead of just a single one, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it becomes like religious. You don't go there with those battles, but you need to understand, especially as a sponsor for ERP, or if you're looking at new ERP, that your definitions might be different than other people's in your
Mm-hmm.
business. So when
Yeah.
you say, we're going to go get a new ERP platform, sales may hear, oh my God, no, we can't do that. That's going to be terrible. Like, no, because just really want one particular CRM, right?
Right.
Or, the HR organization's like, yeah, you guys should definitely go do that. Yeah. And I definitely need, I need HR, I need payroll, I need all the employee life cycle, I need compensation management, da 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 da. Well, not every ERP platform offers that.
Right.
So it's good that you're listening to this because it is a very common phrase that you hear in the market, ERP platform.
Right.
But you as this like sponsor, as the person who's like signing up for this crazy complex project, I feel for you. I really do. Just know what you mean and be clear on that internally with your people and just define it for you guys and what makes the most sense. Sometimes it just means accounting. We're going to go get a new
Yep.
ERP platform. You really just outgrew QuickBooks and you need a better GL for multi-company, for more internal controls, blah, blah, blah. Great. Your ERP platform equals accounting, financial system, I should say. Whereas in other organizations, it could mean like all
Yep.
this stuff. That's fine. Then once you understand it internally, then you go to market, right? And
Yep.
when you're telling vendors, I need a new ERP platform, right? The best vendors will say, "Oh, really? What do you mean by ERP platform?" You want to be talking to people that say that question because they really want to make sure that they're meeting your needs versus, "Oh, I need a new ERP platform." I can do that, but
Right.
you don't even know what's in there. But I can do it. Like, come on, don't do that.
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe you even go to them and don't use that verbiage, right? Like maybe you do go to them and say, I need a new accounting solution and I know this ERP platform might be right for me. But maybe it is a qualifier and you go to them and you're like, I need a new ERP platform. And they're like, I can do that. And suddenly you're like, maybe I don't want to work with you because you're not actually taking the time to understand what I might need from my system.
It's true. It's true. And if they're promising a lot up front, and it's only going to get harder. And you want somebody who has confidence and that you can trust going into this, right? You talk to multiple vendors, and the salesperson does make a difference. There's no question about this. But ultimately, what you're stuck with is not the salesperson, it's the ERP platform. So you better darn well know what it is you need for that ERP platform. You better see the platform. And then when you're contracting for the platform, you better know what's included in the contract, which means the thing that's in the ERP platform or things. And then you're implementing the ERP platform. So you better know what makes up the ERP platform. And then your users are giving you their requirements, and then they're going to go test it. And then they're going to you got to do all this change management, and then you got to do the data, and then you go live with this thing, and you better make sure your ERP platform works before you pull the trigger, and then people are trained on it. And then you've got to support this thing going forward. So, it's sort of like saying like, oh, I'm going to go buy a house. Great. What
What do
else
you
can we
want?
say about the house, right? Like, well, I don't really need a house. I just
Yeah.
need like an apartment. Oh, well, then you should just go rent. Why are you
Yeah.
going to buy? I don't think, I mean, we don't, does anybody buy houses anymore, Rebecca? Like, I don't even know.
Some areas I feel like people can't afford to buy houses because the market's crazy,
I know.
but they still do, I think,
Yeah, they
or
do.
else the
They
market
do.
would have collapsed.
That's true. There would be no market. We'd all be probably out in the street or something. Thankfully, that hasn't happened. But
Right.
but it really is like, you know, understanding your ERP platform requirements. Like I hope you could see with what I just went through.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be spending a lot of time with this thing, and it's going to be with you for multiple years. And you are complex. Organizations are complex. There's lots of things that could go into that platform. Define what they are, work with vendors that want to help you to understand that. Maybe they even bring in specialized teams to show you, like you mentioned, field services. A lot of our clients that are in distribution and manufacturing product companies, now they are offering, especially if it's a bigger complex product, where they have teams of people are going more on site, supporting things, et cetera, et cetera. So field services becomes part of your platform, whereas in the past, it wasn't even part of your business.
Yeah.
Woof, that was a lot.
I think, well, I think that's why these calls are so important, Shawn. We're in an industry where we're notorious for making up buzzwords. So it's really easy to fall into the trap of like, oh, I need AI. Okay, well, what do you need? What do you mean you need AI? Like, What part of AI do you need? Well, all the new stuff. Like now that it's in the ERPs. Well, it's actually been in ERPs for 50 years. People just didn't realize what was going into it.
Yeah.
So just educating yourself on these things and making sure you're asking the right questions, asking the right people. We have tons of resources on our website. But speaking of buzzwords, how has AI transformed the demand for more
Wow.
robust ERP platforms? Because that's really what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, 21 minutes in and you just brought up AI. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
It
We
didn't take
waited a
too
little
much.
bit.
We
We
did.
wish.
That's right. We had to start with the past and 50 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah,
The important stuff before, again, the gimmicky buzzwords. They're still
that's right.
important. They're less gimmicky now because they're a reality, but
Yeah, well, and there's definitely I think people that like we have folks that are calling us that are coming off of there you go. That's how old I am. I use the word folks. Um, let's just talk about people here. So we have people that call us and maybe they're coming off of QuickBooks. Um, and I would even say, in my experience, over a lot of years, is this true? Yeah, I would say people are tending to stay on QuickBooks and other kinds of situations, other kinds of software that's similar to that. I think longer. And so now, especially with AI, they're saying like, "Oh Lord, like um, I need this. Like I need AI." So and they kind of do. Like
yeah,
it's actually true. Like I think other calls you could probably go on, a year ago or even longer and be like, we're like, no, you don't really need AI, right? But
right.
but they kind of do. Like it's so obvious that there's automation that can happen in the business that it's time to do it, right? And so coming off of a maybe smaller software solution, I mean, they're still pretty complex, right? But coming off of something that maybe just does an area like accounting and now wanting to do more of the business, we have a company we're talking to that is growing just leaps and bounds, and they know that they need to automate more of what they're doing, and so they're saying we've got to have AI, and they really do. Like you really do need a company, a software company, an ERP company that you're working with that is committed to AI. And guess what? They all are. So that's good. We know that. Actually, Rebecca knows that better than I do. You've done all the research and looking what all these AI strategies are. We've had some great interviews even with some of the
Mm,
CTOs. We just had one recently with Sage, where the chief technology officer, pardon me, was talking through how they're leveraging AI in more of a simple kind of a manner, especially around the accounting processes. But that technology, it really is. I don't want to use the word transformational, but it is changing sort of the ability of ERP platforms to become more robust and do more.
yeah,
And that's good because your licensing, I can't even put quotes around the licensing because you're not licensing it anymore. You're subscribing to the service called this software. And you're paying basically a lot every year for the software, whereas you used to pay for it once, and then you would pay for maintenance every year thereafter.
right.
Oh, here's a little fix. Maybe it wasn't a little, it was a lot. And here's a little, new sort of functionality but very little new functionality would come out in maintenance releases. It was maintenance, right? You're just maintaining the application.
Right.
Now you're paying, 100% each year, whereas before it was like maybe 100, 200% of what we pay now in year one. And then it was like 20, 25% thereafter. So there was always a recurring cost, by the way. Like that's
Right.
always been in software. The software vendors are smart. Yeah, sorry. That's just the way it works. But the subscriptions now, you're basically paying each year for, a lot. You're paying a lot more money, especially over time. But you are getting more functionality. You're getting the support. You don't have to have the hardware. You don't have to have the cybersecurity on that particular application. You still need it. Don't
Right.
say, well, Shawn told me I didn't need that anymore. I can use that money to put over to the ERP. No, don't,
No.
don't, don't do that. You need it. We're going to talk about that, I think, in October, as usual.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, maybe we'll put a plug in for that later. But
Yes.
but the point of what I'm trying to say is that the vendors now are putting a lot of enhancements into the application each year, usually have 2 major releases, but they actually release code once a week. You might not
Yeah.
even know it, believe it or not. And then they're pumping the AI solutions into into the platform, which is actually better if you ask, I think our opinion, probably you might share the same thoughts here, Rebecca, after the research you've done, that you've got a vendor, say an ERP platform that you've relied on for many years, and now they're bringing AI into the solutions, which is great because it just provides more and more capability in this, platform. So, so it's kind of funny that I could see, and I've seen this my whole career, that, and this will be helpful. If I haven't lost you yet, you should listen to this, people. Some companies, the right strategy is to do an all-in-one solution, an all-in-one ERP platform. Maybe they have a bunch of individual best of breed solutions, and the data has become too disparate and the business processes are too disparate, and they got to bring it all together into one solution. We have clients that is the strategy we're pursuing. At the exact same time, we have other clients where that's the wrong solution to do an all-in-one. They need to do multiple solutions. We call it a hybrid ecosystem of apps. There's another word, ecosystem. Yeah, lots of phrases here. But it's important because your ERP platform then becomes maybe a CRM, field services, and kind of a manufacturing solution. With HR, right? There's 4 apps there. So we don't even talk about that being an ERP platform at that point. It really is an ecosystem of applications that have to interact and integrate. Versus other clients, like I said, we're like, oh yeah, your manufacturer with maybe you have software and you have a subscription service as part of that, right? We have lots of clients like that. Well, we can still get an all-in-one solution that would do that. So the point of what I'm trying to say is there isn't a right answer. There just isn't. Like if you read something about, oh yeah, you've got to go single platform online or whatever, and it's got some guy who's got like his fingers like this, not pointing anybody out. I was trying to be dramatic. I wouldn't listen to that. Like you and your strategy, it depends on your organization and where you're at. And literally, like I
And where you're
said,
going.
yeah, where you, that's the more important thing. Oh, yes. Rebecca's on this. Yeah, because it all comes back to your needs analysis and figure out where you're trying to go in the future. So anyway, enough said on that, but that, AI coming into these solutions. And then if you have like 2 or 3 major apps, all 3 or 4 of them, 2 or 3 of them have different AI strategies that they're following too. So that makes it more complex. Phew,
Right.
that was a lot.
Yeah. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shawn, but even like if you have the core ERP platform, the ability for that platform to integrate to new solutions is a huge part of that, right? And understanding. So it's not even just if I select an ERP platform that doesn't play well with others, that's not going to help me in the future, which I feel like most vendors have ecosystems or partners in place where they've worked really hard to create those integrations and create a platform that's open to those. But you also have to keep in mind, like maybe you need a solution that's not already within their ecosystem. How easy is it going to be to actually build that and make sure that it works?
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing you have to the only way you're going to know the answer to those questions is have the application for multiple years and find out.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you of course you need to figure out a way to know what the future is going to look like, but you really have to talk to vendors and understand their solutions fully, get the demonstrations based off your own script of what you need functionality wise, but then even script out kind of what your future needs are going to be from the technology platform, like you say, integrations, even data, and probably the third area is just the technology ecosystem itself of the app. Like if it's in the cloud, is it multi-tenant versus is it a single app that just runs in the cloud? Your instance runs in the cloud. That might not seem important today, but as you go forward into the future, And as changes happen in the technology space, which they do with these enterprise software vendors, that's a whole nother topic about where things are going, especially as like the data centers are just really dominating just money, like profit wise. And they're looking for ways to drive more business onto their platforms. I still think they're going to buy more ERPs. And if you go with somebody who maybe has a single instance as their cloud-based solution, which is really, it's multi-tenant, well, you just share a database, but it's all these different apps. Like the deployment models, I'll say right now, of cloud are going to become more and more important too, with the AI really driving more of the purchase decision. And then you're kind of, stuck with all this stuff going forward. So if I don't want to make this too complex, I probably did.
Right.
Strip it back to the simplicities, which is get to know the solution and what you're going to need today, project into the future of what you're going to need, and bring all that to the vendors. Now, again, the conversations that you have with the vendors, that will help you decide who to work with, because how do they answer your questions, but also what do you see from the solution? Because all the people go away. Don't forget that. They go to Tahiti when they get the President's Club, and for the salespeople or the support people, they go wherever. The consultants go to the next company. You're stuck with this app. So take the time up front to dig into some of this stuff for sure. That's probably why you've made it through with me flapping my jaws this long, is because you're interested in that. Definitely do it.
Yeah. And I think we had one more question, but I feel like we've touched on it so much that you may have more to add. But it was really like how the right ERP platform can help a business scale. Is there anything beyond, like, you have access to a new ecosystem, you're going to have automation, you have greater data access because everything's connected? Is there anything that you would add to that?
I think, again, if we've kind of gone through an era of businesses and nonprofits needing to offer additional services or additional functionality points in their sort of ERP platform strategy, if you will. Like the easiest one is to say manufacturer or a distributor. We have several of these right now that now have to do major field services, and they haven't done that before. So we sort of went through the businesses becoming more complex. But I think looking into the future, I still think there's going to be this huge wave of automating business processes. We've talked about it I've talked about it, was involved in 2000 with was it business process modeling notation, BPMN. I haven't used that phrase in a long time, but there were consortiums that were building out business process sort of protocols that software companies were going to stick to, which they didn't. That's fine. But what is going to happen going forward is automation, hellaciously. Now, are we all going to be automated out of the job? I'm actually like not even really here anymore. This is like AI Shawn that just shows up on these things. I wish. No,
Yeah.
no, we're not going to, it's not gonna be the end of the world on any of that stuff. I really don't think so. Others do. But we're going to go through sort of, we talked about this with, I think Epicor with their CHRO, the silver tsunami. We have a lot of people that are going to be retiring, coming out of the workplace in the next 5 years. And there aren't a lot of people that are going to be coming in and replacing them. So,
Right.
The people listening to this call, doing your automation now, getting your ERP platform in place that makes sense with the right AI solutions that these vendors are going to provide, it'll save you. Like it will, because there are a lot of tasks that can be automated. We can have our people focused on more value add activities. But I just think there's less accounting students that are in sort of the pipeline, if you will. So you see a ton of automation around accounting itself and the accounting processes within systems, which does mean more complexities and more reliance on these systems, which is tricky because now you got to have somebody who knows that stuff. But it also will. I think it's going to be different. I do think 10 years from now, it's going to be very different. So if you're not moving towards those kinds of solutions, you're not talking to vendors that have those really strong strategies for the future, and you're on the old products that they're not investing in, right? I probably should have said this earlier in the call. that's probably the most important thing for helping your business scale, is that you're with a partner that with a software solution that really does get the future of what is going to be happening. They're working through their AI strategies, their hyperscaler, their data center, so that they can scale these solutions and have all the right cybersecurity solutions in place and everything. Because you're going to rely on this app more and more and more going forward in the future. Like, that's happening.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I think I have a feeling, Shawn, we're going to be having this conversation again and again as the years go on. We're probably going to have to come back and be like, oh, well, actually, it changed again. The vendors did something else,
There
or
you
the
go. Well,
market's consolidated.
this is important. Everybody hears this. Rebecca tracks these vendors like a hawk. Like
Mhm.
didn't we just have our 200th episode?
We did just have our 200th episode of the
Yeah,
ERP Minute.
that's
I wrote a
cool.
whole article about AI in the industry and each of the vendors' industry strategies. I try to keep up with these things. If you have a specific topic that you want me to cover or dig into, please email me. I love doing that stuff, and we're always happy to provide some of that information.
Yeah, you got to be aware of what's going on. You got to subscribe to the ERP Minute. Rebecca does a phenomenal job. The whole team does. But like she just said, like you just said, like getting the news and understanding what's going on, and then all the research that's on the website, like, don't go talk to a bunch of vendors to start with. Do your homework. You're probably already doing that, which is good. But like, spend time on our site. We have so many
Yep.
answers of questions that are going to come your way, that once you have the data and you have the understanding, you'll do a lot better.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Shawn. As always, this has been such an insightful call, and I hope people got a lot of value from this. And if you have further questions or very specific questions, please let us know. Like I said, my email, Rebecca.McCabe at ERPadvisorsgroup.com. Shawn at ERPadvisorsgroup.com. We're here to answer whatever we can or send you to the right people who can answer those questions. And thank you again to everyone for joining us on today's call. Be sure to join us for our next webinar, which is scheduled for Thursday, September 11th, 2026 ERP Trends by Industry, because we are already getting ready for the new year, where we will break down major trends for key industries in 2025, how ERP evolved as a result, and make our predictions for each industry in 2026. Please go to our website, erpadvisorsgroup.com, for more details and to register. That's also where you will find the AI event with James McQuiggan for our 6th year already from Know Before, where we're going to scare you, as usual, with some content for Halloween. And ERP Advisors Group is one of the country's top independent enterprise software advisory firms. ERP Advisors Group advises mid to large sized businesses on selecting and implementing a wide variety of business applications, from enterprise resource planning, customer relationship management, human capital management, business intelligence, and other enterprise applications, which equate to millions of dollars in software deals each year across many industries. This has been the ERP Advisor. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.